Hello crafters! Today we are going to be making the Cozy Crochet Cables Beanie. Now you can make this in two different sizes, basically two different lengths. This is the shorter version and this is the longer version, but it's the same pattern, just this one has one extra repetition than this pattern does. But this hat ends up with these really beautiful crochet cables, and I don't know how well it's picking up here on the camera, but in person there's a lot of texture and a lot of depth to them. And this is just a nice cozy winter hat that's also, I think, very cute and fashionable. In addition to customizing the length of the actual hat, you can also customize the length of the brim. When I work the brim, I make it 6 single crochet stitches wide, but you could work it say 7 or 8 stitches wide if you want a wider brim, or you could work it only 3 or 4 stitches wide if you want a narrower brim. So you can make that adjustment, and of course, like I already mentioned, you can make it longer or shorter for whatever fit you're going for. So let's get out our materials and crochet this project. The yarn I'm going to be using I got on a steep discount, which unfortunately means it's since been discontinued, but it's just a soft weight 3 yarn. It recommends a 5mm crochet hook, and I'm going to use my 5mm hook from Dollar Tree. The first thing we need to do is crochet the band of the hat, and we're going to make this with rows going back and forth. So I'm going to start by putting a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm going to start working rows back and forth. I'm first going to go to the second chain from my hook, so this stitch right here, and in that stitch work a single crochet, and then in the 5 chain stitches that remain, I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each of those. So we'll end up with a total of 6 single crochet for round 1. Then for rounds 2 through 85, we're going to work them all the same way. So I'm going to start by chaining 1, then I'll turn my work, and I'm going to work 6 single crochet across, but I'm going to work them in the front loop only. So when I go under this first stitch, I'm coming under just that front loop. I'm not also going underneath the back loop. So a single crochet in the front loop only, that's my first one. Got 5 more to go. Another single crochet in the front loop only, and I'll work a total of 6 single crochet like this. And that's going to create a little bit of ribbing and extra texture on the other side. That was row 2. Now for row 3, exact same thing. Chain 1, turn my work, and then work 6 single crochet in the front loops only. So I'm going to work this same process all the way through round 85. And then once we're done with round 85, our band will be complete, and then we'll have to stitch it together and then start working around the band to form the hat. So about rounds 2 through 85, you're going to chain 1 and then work 6 single crochet in the front loop only. So at this point I have finished crocheting the band of the hat, and I've got some color changes, and there was a knot in the yarn, so I had to get rid of that. But now we're ready to join it all together to form the band of the hat. So to join the hat together, I'm going to turn my work so that way my loop is on the right side of my work, and I'm going to fold the band in half so that way the ends line up together. Now, very important at this step, make sure you don't have any twist in the band. It'd be really easy to grab it and put a twist in there. You want to avoid that. So make sure it's not twisted, fold it in half, and then I'm going to slip stitch these 2 ends together. And when I slip stitch, I'm just going to go through 1 loop on each end. So I'm going to come to my first stitch and go under just that front loop, right through there, on this front end, and then go to the back end and go under just the 1 loop right there, and then work a slip stitch through those spots. So that's yarning over and pulling through everything. Go to my next stitch on the front, go under just the front loop, go to my next stitch on the other end, and go under the next loop there, and slip stitch together. I'm going to end up doing 6 slip stitches like this to join the 2 ends together. So this is my 3rd one, my 4th one, again working in just the front loop of the side where we were working, go in the loop on the other end, slip stitch together. I've got 2 more to go, to the front loop, under the next loop on the back, slip stitch together, And this is number 6. This is the final one. Go right under there, go under this loop right here, and slip stitch together. So now my band is joined together, but we're gonna kind of turn things a little bit. So right now we're kind of looking at the outside. I don't want this to be the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this under. So right now it's sitting in a loop like this where this band is on the outside, but now I'm gonna flip it the other way. So that way that seam is on the inside. And then I want to be facing the outside of my work, so then I'm just gonna rotate it after I've done that little flip. And I'll end up where my seam is right here underneath the loop on my hook, and I can start working around to the left, and the seam is on the inside of the band. So now for round 1 of the hat. This first round is the setup round, and we're going to start by chaining 1, and then we're going to work 86 single crochet around. So basically I'm gonna put a single crochet at the end of every row from the band, and then we'll throw one extra one here at the start somewhere wherever it makes sense to fill in. So to work this, I'm gonna start by chaining 1, and then I'm gonna put 1 single crochet at the end of each row. So this is kind of the end of the first row here. I'll go right through there and put a single crochet stitch. And then in between each ribbing is 2 rows. So this is a row and this is a row. So I'll kind of come somewhere along the end, insert where it makes sense to insert, work my next single crochet, and then next single crochet at the end of the next row. So I've got 3 so far. And then I've got the next 2 rows here. So basically I'm going to put 2 single crochet between every one of these ribbings. So we can go right here and here, and it doesn't have to be exact where you insert, just try to be consistent so that way it all blends together. But I'm going to work 86 single crochet around, and then we'll move on to round 2. So I've worked the single crochet all along the edge of the band, and right now I have 85 stitches. So to bring it up to 86, I'm just going to squeeze 1 more single crochet somewhere in here. Now when you work this, you may end up not needing to do an extra stitch at the end, and what that means is at the beginning you probably work 2 in the first row. Basically because of the way the join is, it's a little hard to tell where the first row is and where the last row is, but as long as we get an extra stitch in there somewhere and end up with 86 single crochet, we're going to be good. So now for the hat, we're going to work it in the round. We're not going to spiral, so to finish up round 1, I'm going to slip stitch in the top of my first single crochet from the round and join this round. Moving on to round 2, this will again be a pretty simple round. We're just going to work 86 double crochet stitches, but if you know me, you know I really like the alternative turning chain, and that's what I'm going to use to count as my first double crochet. If you're not familiar with that, there'll be a link in the card, but basically we insert our hook where we want to work the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and then we insert our hook under that left vertical bar we just created, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's the alternative turning chain. It's going to count as my first double crochet, and then I'm going to work 85 more double crochet to finish up this round. So this is my second double crochet. This is my third double crochet. I'm going to go until I've worked 86 double crochet, and then I'll join the round. So finishing up round 2, I just worked my 86th double crochet stitch. Coming back to the beginning, this right here is that alternative turning chain, and this right here is the top stitch where I'm going to insert my hook and work a slip stitch to join the round. So now in round 3, we're going to start creating the cables, but the good news is it's a repeating pattern. So I'm again going to start with that alternative turning chain and let that count as my first double crochet. So I'm going to insert in the same spot where I joined the round, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, insert in that left vertical bar we just created, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's the alternative turning chain, and that counts as my first double crochet. So now the repeating pattern is going to start with a double crochet, and then in the next 2 stitches we're going to work a front post double crochet, and if you're not familiar with those, it's basically worked like a double crochet, but instead of going in the top of the stitch, we're going to go around the post of the stitch from right to left with the hook behind the stitch, and then finish off the double crochet like normal. So this is my first front post double crochet and a second front post double crochet. Then I'm going to work 3 double crochet stitches. So 1, 2, and 3, and these are each just work 1 per stitch. And then I'm going to work 6 more front post double crochet, one right after another. So this is my first front post double crochet. This is my second front post double crochet. So again, I'm going behind the post of the stitch from right to left and working it just like a normal double crochet. So we start with the yarn over, insert behind the post, and then finish up the stitch like normal. So that's my 4th one. Got 2 more to go. This is my 5th front post double crochet, and this is my 6th front post double crochet. And then the last thing we need to do to finish up the repetition is work 2 double crochet just like normal. So this is 1, and this is 2. All those stitches we just worked are going to get repeated a total of 6 times, but I'll show it to you one more time. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet, and then follow it up with 2 front post double crochet. So going around those posts for the front post, this is the first of those, this is the second of those. Then I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So this is my first, this is my second double crochet, and a 3rd double crochet. Then in the next 6 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So this is my first one. Whoop, got my hook there. This is my second one, my 3rd front post, 4th front post, 5th front post, and my 6th front post, if I can get it around just the post there, there we go. And then to finish up the repetition, I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to repeat this around and then join the round when I get to the end. So I'm finishing up round 3. I've worked my repetition 6 times and now I have 1 stitch left, and in that last stitch I'm going to work a double crochet. Again, I'm going to join the round by slip stitching in the top. And I probably won't show that anymore, but just know that we're slip stitching to join each round. On to round 4, we're going to once more start with an alternative turning chain. Again, you can watch the video in the card that gives a better description of it. Really, it's 2 single crochets stacked up on top of each other, but that's going to count as my first double crochet stitch. And now we're going to have another repeating pattern. I'm going to start by working 1 double crochet. And then in each of my next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So I'm going to work a front post double crochet around the front post double crochets of the previous round. And then this here is my second one. And this is creating that just solid ridge. Then in each of my next 3 stitches, I'm going to work 1 double crochet. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. And now it's time to actually create the cable and do a crisscross. We're going to use front post stitches, but these are going to be front post treble stitches, so we're going to start by yarning over twice. Then to create the cable, I've got to crisscross my stitches, so I'm going to skip the next 3 stitches, and in that 4th stitch, I'm going to work a front post treble around it. So I've yarned over twice. I'm going to go around that stitch from right to left with my hook going behind it, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is my first front post treble. Then I'm going to do 2 more of those, 1 each of the next 2 stitches. So yarn over twice, go around the post of my next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then I'm going to do another front post treble, and that's going to be worked around the next stitch. So yarn over twice, work the front post stitch, finish it off. And what that does is that pulls these stitches over to the right. Now those stitches that we skipped, we're going to create the crisscross right over here. So the way I'm going to work this is we're again going to do front post trebles. So start by yarning over twice. And this time I'm going to go back to the very first stitch that I skipped, and I'm going to go around that stitch from right to left. And you might kind of pull your work and bunch it up. That's totally okay. Just go with it. And I'm going to work that front post treble. Whoop. went through too many loops there. Then I'm going to work another front post treble, this time around the second stitch that we skipped. So yarn over twice, go to that second stitch that we skipped, insert around the post, and work that front post treble. And then we're going to work a front post treble around the third stitch that we skipped. So yarn over twice, insert around that stitch, and work that treble. So if we look at it, the bases of the stitch are down here in an order, but the tops are pulled to a different order, and that's going to create that cable. To finish up the section that repeats, I'm going to work 2 double crochet. So just on the tops of stitches like normal. So this is a double crochet, and this is a double crochet. And now we're back to the repetition. I'm going to show you this again because we've got that little crazy crisscross part with the trebles. So the repetition is we start with 1 double crochet, and then in each of the next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So work around this stitch and work around the following stitch. Then in each of my next 3 stitches, I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the top of the stitch just like normal. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is going to be 3. Now it's time to create the crisscross section of the cable. So I'm going to start by skipping the next 3 stitches. So skip 1, 2, 3. And in that 4th one, I'm going to work a front post treble. So I'm yarning over twice, going behind the post of that 4th stitch, and working that front post treble. And then I'm going to work a front post treble in each of the following stitches. So this is my 2nd front post treble. And this is my 3rd front post treble. So basically I'm working in the left 3 stitches first. Then we're going to go back to those stitches that we skipped and work a front post treble around each of those. So I'm yarning over twice, going to the first stitch that I skipped, and working that front post treble. So make sure your hook goes under from right to left. Work that front post treble. Go to the next stitch that I skipped and work a front post treble around that stitch. And then to finish up the crisscross section of the cable, work a front post treble around the 3rd stitch that I skipped. To wrap up the repeating pattern, I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And again, we repeat this pattern a total of 6 times. When we get to the end of the round, we will need to work 1 more double crochet. So I'm near the end of round 4. I've repeated the repetition a total of 6 times, and now to finish up this round, I'm going to double crochet in the final stitch and then slip stitch the round to join it. Moving on to round 5, I'm again going to start with that alternative turning chain and let it count as my first double crochet of the round. And then we've got another repeating pattern. This time we're going to start with a double crochet in the first stitch, then 2 front post double crochet, 1 around each of the following stitches. So this is my 2nd front post, and these are front post double crochets, just to clarify. Then 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. These are just normal double crochet worked in the top. So this is 2, and this is 3. And now I'm going to work 6 front post double crochet, but it might look a little messy and confusing, so let me walk you through where we're going to work. We're going to work front post, but we're going to work in order of kind of the tops of the stitches. So see how at the base of these stitches, the stitch that comes first on the bottom isn't the first stitch along the top. We really have these other 3 stitches behind here that are the first stitches along the top. So I'm going to work them in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to work around these stitches that are kind of to the back side. We're going to work 6 front post double crochet. So this is the first spot to work around right here. Just working that front post double crochet. So that's my first one. For my 2nd front post double crochet, I'm going to go to the 2nd post here, kind of on the behind section. Work a front post double crochet around that post. Then for my third front post double crochet, we've got one more that's kind of on the back of the cable. I'm going to go around that from right to left, same way we've been working all the front post stitches. So those are my first 3 front post double crochet, and then my next 3, it's a little easier to see because they're sitting on top. I'm going to go under this stitch right here for my 4th front post double crochet, under this stitch right here for my 5th front post double crochet, under this guy for my 6th front post double crochet, and what this does is it kind of reorganizes the cable so that way we get this nice crisscross, and then it puts things back in order. Finishing up the repeating pattern, I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the top of each of the next 2 stitches. So this is 1 and this is 2. That's the pattern we're going to repeat around 6 times. So I'll show it to you one more time. Work a double crochet in the next stitch. Then in the 2 following stitches, work a front post double crochet around each of them. So this is 1 and this is 2. Then work a double crochet in the top of each of my next 3 stitches. So this is 1, this is 2, and these are all normal double crochet, and this is 3. And then we're going to work 6 front post double crochet, but we've got to make sure we work in the correct order. So first I'm going to work on these ones along the bottom side or the underside, back side of the cable, however you want to call it, these stitches along here. So if you look along the top, so you can just kind of go down and find that post. And I'm going to work a front post double crochet around that stitch. My second front post double crochet is going to go around the next one, which is this guy right here. My third front post double crochet is going to go around this stitch. And then 4, 5, and 6 are going to go around these 3 right here. So we're kind of just working in order, but we're looking along the top of the stitches, not the bottom of the stitches. So this is my 4th front post, this is my 5th front post double crochet, and this is number 6. To finish up the repetition, I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So this is 1 double crochet, and this is my 2nd double crochet. And that wraps up the repetition. I'm going to repeat that around a total of 6 times, and then we'll have to stick 1 extra stitch in there, and then we'll join the round. So finishing up round 5, I've worked the repetition 6 times, and now I just need to work a double crochet in the last stitch of the round. And after the stitch, I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the first stitch of the round to join. Round 6 is going to be a repeat of round 5, where we start off with that alternative turning chain to count as our first double crochet, followed by a double crochet, then 2 front post double crochet, that's 1, and this is 2, 3 double crochet, so these are just worked in the tops of stitches, so 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Follow that up with 6 front post double crochets. So this is my first front post double, this is my second front post double, and it's easier working these than it was in round 5 because this time they're all sorted out in the right order already. So this is my 4th front post double, my 5th front post double, and my 6th front post double. To finish up the repetition, I'm going to work 2 double crochet. I'll repeat that around 6 times, and then in the very final stitch of the round, I'll work a double crochet and then slip stitch to join the round. So now we are at round 7, and the good news is this is going to be a repeat of round 6, which was a repeat of round 5. And the good news at this point is for the next little while, we're going to just be repeating some rows that we've already done. Basically, we repeat rows 4 through 7 to keep creating those cables and the crisscrosses. Now, I'm going to pop up on screen with the overall pattern, a little graphic of that. And as always, when I put these in my video, feel free to screenshot them so you can easily refer back to the written pattern. But basically, we have some options at this stage. This hat that I showed in the beginning is the smaller size, so it's not as tall, and I'll pop up on screen with the dimensions of this hat. But this is more of a short beanie kind of cap style hat, but you can make it longer by including more of the repetitions. So to work the longer version like I'm showing with this green and purple yarn here, what I'm going to do for rows 8 through 11, I'm going to repeat rounds 4 through 7. Then for rounds 12 through 15, I'm going to again repeat rounds 4 through 7. So basically I'm going to repeat rounds 4 through 7 2 times. And then for rounds 16 and 17, I'm going to repeat rounds 4 through 5. And then round 18 is where I'm going to start doing those decreases to close in the top of the hat, and I'll show you that portion on camera again. However, if you want to make the shorter version that was like the red one, you're going to work rounds 8 through 11 by repeating rounds 4 through 7, and then you're not going to work rounds 12 through 15. Instead, you're going to jump to round 16 and 17, which is another repeat of round 4 through 5, and then once you do that, I'll show round 18 on camera. I hope that makes sense the way I worded it. Basically, if you want the shorter version, you're going to skip rounds 12 through 15. So let me work all the way through round 17, and then I'll show you rounds 18 through 24 to finish up the hat. So if we take a look at the hat the way it is now, I have worked through round 17. So now for rounds 18 through 24, we're going to start decreasing and closing in the top of the hat. Fortunately, these rounds all have repeating patterns. So we're going to start off this round with an alternative turning chain, which will count as our first double crochet. And then we're going to follow it up with a double crochet. And neither of these stitches are part of the repetition. So now the repetition is going to go like this. We're going to start by working a front post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. So this is my first stitch, and this is my second stitch. Then I'm going to work a double crochet decrease. So the way I like to work my decreases is I like to yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then pause there with my first stitch. Then in my second stitch, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So I've kind of started a stitch in each of the next 2 stitches. I've got 3 loops on my hook, and now I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That's how I like to do double crochet decreases, but you can work them however you want. After we decrease in those 2 stitches, I'm going to work just as normal double crochet. Then I'm going to work a front post double crochet in each of my next stitches. So this is the cable section here. So this is 1, this is 2, they're all front post double crochets. This is 3, this is front post number 4, front post number 5, and front post number 6. Then to finish up the repetition, I'm going to work in these next 3 stitches, but I'm going to start by doing a double crochet decrease. So again, I'm working the first part of a stitch in the first stitch, then working the first part of a double crochet in the second stitch, and then yarning over and pulling through all 3 of those loops to complete the decrease, and then a double crochet in the following stitch. So that's the full pattern. We'll repeat that around 6 times. I'll show it to you one more time. So start off with 2 front post double crochets. So this is 1 and this is 2. Then I'm going to work a double crochet decrease in the next 2 stitches. So we're decreasing those 2 down into 1, then work just a normal double crochet. Then in each of the next 6 stitches here for the cable, I'm going to work a front post double crochet in each of those. So this is my first front post, this is my second front post, this is my third front post, my fourth front post, 5th front post, and lastly front post number 6. And then again, to finish up the pattern, we're going to do another double crochet decrease. So we're decreasing 2 stitches into 1. And then in the next stitch, work a normal double crochet. So I'm going to work this all the way around, and then I will slip stitch to join the round, and then I'll show you round 19. So I have finished crocheting and have joined round 18, so now we are ready to move on to round 19. This round starts again with an alternative turning chain, which counts as our first double crochet. And then after this stitch, I'm going to work a double crochet in the following stitch. Again, these two stitches are not part of the repeating pattern. So the repeating pattern is going to be pretty similar to last round. I'm going to start off with 2 front post double crochets, so 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. That was 1, and this is 2. Then across the tops of my next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a double crochet decrease. So this is in the first stitch, this is in the second stitch, and this is decreasing them together. Then in the next 6 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So we're working 6 front post doubles right in this section. So that's 1, this is 2, this is 3, and these front posts are creating the cable. This is number 4, this is front post number 5, and this is front post number 6. Then to finish up the repeating pattern, I'm going to work a double crochet decrease in the tops of the next 2 stitches. So I'm decreasing these 2 stitches together. And once I've done this, I've completed the repetition, and I'm going to repeat that all the way around 6 times. And once I get to the end of the round, I'm going to join in the top of the first stitch with a slip stitch. And then we will move on to round 20. Moving on to round 20, we're again going to start with that alternative turning chain, and as always, it's going to count as the first double crochet of the round. And then I'm going to work a double crochet in the following stitch, and neither of these stitches are part of the repetition. So for our repeating pattern, we're going to start off by doing a front post double crochet decrease. Another way of thinking about that is we're going to front post double crochet 2 stitches together. It's going to be really similar to the double crochet increase, but I'm going to start by yarning over, and then I'm going to insert around that first stitch like I would for a front post double, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then I'm going to pause. Now I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to work in the next stitch like I would for a front post double crochet. So inserting my hook behind the post instead of in the top of the stitch. Then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and now I've got 3 loops here on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 to join those 2 stitches together and finish it off. After I work that front post double crochet decrease, I'm going to work a normal double crochet in the top of my next stitch. And then that's going to bring us to our big cable, the crisscrossy one, and we're kind of crisscrossing here, but we're going to do things a little bit differently. So like I did in round 4, when we do the crisscross section, I'm going to skip the first 3 stitches, but instead of working a front post treble, I'm going to work a front post treble decrease, or another way to put it, I'm going to front post treble 2 stitches together. It might sound confusing, but let me break that down for you. I'm going to start by yarning over twice, and then I'm going to go to this 4th stitch here, insert into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then stop. So basically I'm going until I have 2 loops left on my hook. Then to complete the front post treble 2 together, I'm going to yarn over twice, go to the following stitch, and I'm going to start working a front post treble around it. So I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then to finish it all off, I'm going to yarn over and pull through the 3 stitches on my hook. So that's why I'm working the front post treble crochet decrease, the front post treble crochet 2 together. A little bit of a mouthful, but that's how you work it. Then in the following stitch, I'm going to work just a normal front post treble. So yarning over twice and then working that front post stitch into that stitch there. Now we're going to go back and work in these stitches that we skipped. And I'm going to start by working a normal front post treble in the first stitch that we skipped. So yarned over twice. We'll go back to that stitch right there and work the front post treble the normal way. And then we're going to have 2 stitches left here that we've skipped. And in these 2, I'm going to work that front post treble decrease. So again, let me break that down. I'm going to yarn over twice, go around the post of that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then stop. Then I'm going to yarn over twice, go to that 3rd stitch that we skipped, go behind it for the front post stitch, then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. At this point I'll have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those. and that's the front post treble decrease. Then to finish up the repeating pattern, I'm going to work a double crochet in the top of my next stitch. That repeating pattern we're going to repeat 6 times around. Let me show it to you one more time because that one is a little bit goofy. So the first thing I'm going to do is front post double crochet 2 together. So I'm going to yarn over, go around this stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'm going to yarn over and go to the next stitch, go around it like I would for a front post, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops to finish it off. After working that front post double crochet decrease, we get a nice easy stitch, just a double crochet in the top of the following stitch. Then we get to this big cable here, and this is where things are a little goofy again, but just stick with it. It's not too bad once you get the hang of it. So I'm going to skip the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then in those next 2, I'm going to front post treble crochet 2 together. So yarn over twice, go to that 4th stitch and insert underneath it for a front post stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then stop, yarn over twice, insert under the next stitch the same way we do for any front post stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. When we end up with those 3 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 to finish up that decrease. In the next stitch, I'm going to work just a normal front post treble crochet. So same as we've been doing in the other crisscross rows. Then we got to go back to these 3 stitches that we skipped. In the first one of those, we're going to work just a normal front post treble crochet. So I yarned over twice, and I'm working the front post treble in that stitch right there. Then in stitches 2 and 3 that we skipped, we're going to work another front post treble decrease. So I'm going to yarn over twice, go to that 2nd stitch we skipped, insert around it, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, then stop. Then yarn over twice, go to that 3rd stitch we skipped, insert behind it for a front post stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We've got 3 loops on our hook, and now we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3. To finish up the repetition, we just work a nice, normal, simple double crochet in the top of the next stitch. So repeat that around 6 times, and then I'll show you round 21. So if we look at the top of our hat here, we can see it's starting to work its way in from all those decreases. So now let's learn round 21. In case you didn't guess it, we're again starting the round with an alternative turning chain. This counts as my first stitch, and it's not part of the repeating pattern around. But now we're going to start the repeating pattern around. And again, this pattern gets repeated 4 times. So what I'm going to start off by doing is I'm going to double crochet 3 stitches together. So it's really similar to double crocheting 2 stitches together, but instead of working across 2 stitches, I'm going to work across 3. So I'm going to yarn over, insert in my first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then stop. Yarn over, insert in my second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then stop. Yarn over, insert into my third stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll now have 4 loops on the hook, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 of those to finish off that double crochet 3 together. Then I'm going to work 4 front post double crochet across the next 4 stitches. So again, because we did that little crisscross, I need to find the ones that are kind of on the back. Now these 2 right here really are the same stitch, so I'm just going to go around both of those. Let's go around through right there, work my first front post double crochet, and then around the second one, kind of hiding back there, work my second front post double crochet. Then work my third front post double crochet right around here. And then again, it kind of looks like 2 here, but that's where we did that decrease, so really it's the same stitch. Go all around that and work my front post double crochet. So that was my 4th one. So I worked 4 right through there, and now the pattern repeats. Work 3 double crochet together, so yarn over, insert in my first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over and insert into my second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over and finally insert into my third stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll have 4 loops on our hook, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops to complete the decrease. And then to finish up the repeating pattern, I'm going to work 4 front post double crochet around the next 4 stitches. So this is my first one right here. Again, it might look like I'm going around 2 stitches, kind of 2 posts there, but really they join at the top there. And then this will be my second front post double crochet. This one right here is my third front post double crochet. And this stitch right here is my fourth front post double crochet. I'm going to repeat that around 6 times, and then we will need to stick 1 extra double crochet at the end of the round. So I'm finishing up round 21 here. This is that alternative turning chain from the start of the round. We have 1 more little lonely stitch, and we just need to work a double crochet into the top of that stitch. And after I work that stitch, I'm going to slip stitch to join the round. That brings us to round 22, and I'm going to show you something new on this round as well. We're going to start with an alternative turning chain, but we're going to do an alternative turning chain decrease. So it might sound complicated, but I promise it's not. We're going to start the alternative turning chain the same way as normal, where we insert in the stitch where we joined the round, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'm going to insert in that left vertical bar, same way like we normally do the alternative turning chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, but I'm not going to yarn over again and pull through these 2 loops. Instead, I'm going to yarn over and insert in my next stitch, then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and now I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3. That's how we work an alternative turning chain that's also a decrease. So now that brings us to our repeating pattern. I'm going to work 2 front post double crochet 2s together. Sounds confusing, it's really not. We've already done this before, but I'm basically going to work a double crochet decrease, but I'm going to work them in front post style. So I'm going to yarn over and insert around the next stitch like I would for a front post, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'm going to yarn over and insert behind the next stitch the same way I would for any other front post stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That was my first front post double crochet 2 together. We need to do 1 more of those. So yarn over, insert around the post of the next stitch for a front post stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then moving on to the next stitch, I'm going to yarn over, insert around it like I do for front post stitches, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That brings us to 3 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 to finish up that decrease. Then to finish up the repeating pattern, I'm just going to stick a double crochet in the top of my next stitch. We're going to repeat this 6 times around. I'll show it to you 1 more time. Going to do 2 of those decreases, but we're doing front post decreases. So yarn over, insert around the post of your next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, go to the next stitch, work around it like a front post, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We're down to 3 loops on the hook, so yarn over and pull through all 3. Then repeat, yarn over, insert your hook behind the post of the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, insert around the post of the following stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We've got 3 loops left, so yarn over and pull through all 3. And then the next stitch, very nice, just a normal double crochet stitch worked in the top of the following stitch. I'm going to repeat that pattern 6 times around, and then we will need to stick an extra double crochet at the end of this round before we join. Okay, just kidding what I said about we have 1 extra stitch we have to work in at the end. Either I made a mistake when I was working on this and dropped a stitch, or else my pattern that I wrote down is wrong. But I'm pretty sure I didn't make a mistake. You might have an extra stitch there. If you do, just stick a stitch in it and just roll with it. So I'm going to finish the round by joining in the top of that alternative turning chain. That was also a decrease that we did from the beginning, and I'm just slip stitching. So now for round 23, you guessed it, we're starting with an alternative turning chain. This is just the normal one, not the weird decrease one we did last round. So this is an alternative turning chain, and I'm letting it count as my first double crochet. And then I'm going to do some more front post double crochet 2 stitches together. So that's what we did a bunch of last round. So I'm going to yarn over, work around the first stitch, and it might look like two because it looks like there's two posts, but see how at the top there's only one stitch? So just go around that whole thing there, and yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, then go to the next stitch, which again, it kind of looks like two because of the decrease, but really it's the same stitch. Gonna yarn over, go around that the way we do for front post stitches, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, then I'm down to 3 loops on my hook, so I'm gonna yarn over and pull through all 3, and then to finish up the repeating pattern, I'm gonna stick a double crochet in the next stitch. Let me show you that one more time. The repeating pattern is a front post double crochet 2 together, so I'm gonna yarn over, go around the post of the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, work around the post of the following stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. To finish up the repetition, just work a nice, simple, easy double crochet stitch. I'm going to repeat that 6 times around, and then I will join the round. Here's where we're at so far. We've just got a little bit more to go, and by a little bit more, we just have one more round, and we're going to kind of shake things up a little bit here. But first, I need to join round 23. So I'm just joining that round with a slip stitch. But round 24, we're going to work with all single crochets and some single crochet decreases. So I'm going to start by chaining 1. In my first stitch where we joined the round, I'm going to work a single crochet stitch. Then in my next 2 stitches, I'm going to single crochet decrease, so single crochet the 2 together. To do so, I'm just going to insert my hook, pull up a loop, insert my hook in the following stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on my hook. And then repeat, work a single crochet, followed by a single crochet decrease. And you can work whatever kind of decrease you want. You can use the yarn under, you can use invisible, decrease, whatever you want. I'm just going with the pretty simple version here. Again, single crochet, then single crochet decrease. And then one last time, single crochet, single crochet decrease. We'll have 1 extra stitch here, and I'm just going to stick a single crochet in that stitch and then join the round by slip stitching in that very first single crochet we worked. And then I'm going to fasten off but leave myself a very nice long tail so I can sew the top of the hat closed. Nice long tail here. To sew this hat closed, I highly recommend using Planet June's Ultimate Finish for Amigurumi closing technique. It's really a great method, and I will link to her article in the description below, but I'll kind of go over it here briefly. Basically, we're going to stitch from inside out around all our stitches, but go under just the front loop. So this right here is my first stitch, and just this right here is the front loop. So I'm going to come from the inside outward and go underneath just that front loop and pull my yarn through there, but I'm not going to snug it up yet. Go to my next stitch, again from inward outward, go underneath just the front loop. Go to the next stitch, go under just the front loop, and I'm going to do this all the way around. I believe this round has 13 stitches, so you'll do this 13 times, and then once you've gone under all the stitches, we will just cinch it right up, and it'll close very nicely. So again, we're going from the inside of our circle outward, and we're going under just those front loops, working in the same direction we've been crocheting the hat. Right through there, and then this is my last stitch. And now for the beauty of it, I'm going to pull, and it's going to cinch nice and closed. And would you look at that? Pretty seamless. Now I'm just going to tuck this guy down through the inside of my hat. Down to the center there. And then once I have it pulled to the inside, I like to tie everything off, so I'm just going to loop around a random thread there and make some actual knots just because I like my projects to be nice and securely fastened. We'll do one more just for good measure. And then all that's left is to weave in the ends, which I'm going to do off camera because weaving in ends is really boring and it's even more boring to watch. And here is how the Cozy Crochet Cables hat turns out. I think this is just so cute. I love the texture of cables and I love creating it with crochet. I just think it's really fun. And of course this yarn is really beautiful. Here's a look from the top of all those cables kind of fading in towards the center. And again, that really nice seam close. But it's a very beautiful, nicely textured hat. And the cables can be a little bit goofy, but they don't take too long to whip up. So I hope y'all enjoyed this project, and as always, if you make it and you post it online, be sure to tag me. You can tag me on Instagram at crafters_autonomous. I really love seeing y'all's amazing creations, so be sure to tag me if you make this hat and post any pictures. As I talked about at the beginning, here's kind of a comparison of the two different hat sizes. This is just more of a small, tight-fitting cap, whereas this has more of a slouchy beanie look. And with this one, you have the option that you can roll the brim back and add a little bit more texture that way, if you do want it to be shorter. And of course, if you want it even longer, then you just keep repeating that cable section as long as you want, and then work the close at the top the same way I showed in this video. But I hope y'all enjoyed this pattern. I know I had a lot of fun designing and making it, and until I see you next time, happy crafting!